Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam vidya nashtaprayam shivavadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Prabhupada Lilamrita by Srila Goswami. Prabhupada is in Los Angeles and book production is going on, especially his Chaitanya Charitamrita. 17 books of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because that time it was smaller volume. Now I think it's 9 books. So 17 books they produce in 2 months. It's a record. And not just produce, I mean, there's artwork, there is transliteration, there is translation, and none of them was expert in Bengali, but still they did it. And Rameshwar Prabhu, he was the one orchestrating, coordinating everything. And hardly they slept during those 2 months. 24 hours the production was going on. Work was going on. And shifts were there, yes, but 24 hours devotees were working. Rameshwar, running on very little sleep, orchestrated everything, including the photographer in India, the printer, and the paper company. Sometimes he would work directly with Radha Vallabh on various aspects of the production. Radha Vallabh had set the deadlines and he kept to them at all costs. To the press workers, he seemed to be present everywhere, encouraging them, bringing them supplies, seeing to their needs, begging and coercing them to complete their quotas. But one night he took a break and entered Prabhupada's room during an informal gathering of devotees. Prabhupada, his eyes closed and his head gently rocking, was listening to a tape of himself singing bhajans. Opening his eyes and seeing Radha Vallabh seated among the others, he said, "I'm keeping you," and again closed his eyes. One of the devotees spoke up and said, "Oh, no, Prabhupada, you're not bothering us." But another devotee turned to Radha Vallabh and said, "I think Prabhupada was talking to you." Radha Vallabh realized what Prabhupada meant. He was telling him to go back to work. It was as if Prabhupada were actually saying, "Why are you sitting here looking at me? Get back to work." So that was a practical aspect of working with Prabhupada. Service is more important. And by this service only, we get purified. Of course, sitting in proximity of Prabhupada, looking at him, hearing him speak, that also purifies. But ultimately, it has to come to service. Srila Prabhupada was pleased with the sincerity of his disciples. 17 books in 2 months he had asked them to produce, and they, rather than try to explain to him why this was impossible, had taken the order so seriously that they could not conceive of rejecting or changing or modifying it. Instead of modifying the order, they had modified their lives. They had gone beyond the realm of routine work into the realm of extraordinary work. As a result, both they and Prabhupada felt great satisfaction. As Prabhupada said, it was all an arrangement for the satisfaction of Lord Chaitanya and the previous acharyas. Srila Prabhupada decided to continue his US tour, visiting Laguna Beach and San Diego and then going on to Dallas. From there, he would visit New Orleans and the nearby ISKCON farm in Mississippi, then on to Detroit, Toronto, Boston, and New York, eventually traveling to Europe and India. Can we imagine? 1975, he is 79 years old and traveling so extensively. And it's not just a travel and just relaxing. It's traveling and again coming to temple, giving classes, giving darshan, management, writing books. He was doing everything. Everywhere he would go. From Prabhupada's point of view, his touring was imperative for spreading Krishna consciousness. As he had said in his arrival address at Berkeley, I'm traveling all over the world twice, thrice in a year. My duty is to see that my disciples who have accepted me as Guru may not fall down. That is my anxiety. Prabhupada's concern was for his disciples, but also for all people, distressed by the fallen and ignorant state of humanity, especially in the West. He wanted to help the English-speaking world, as his spiritual master had ordered. This had been his spirit 2 years ago in Calcutta, when he had risen from his sickbed and flown to London to take part in the Rath Yatra. This was his great desire, to preach in the West, where people were so strongly under the grip of speculative philosophies, denying God and glorifying sense enjoyment. This is everywhere, in India also. Why only West? But in the West, yes, it is more prominent. The mass of people would not easily change their ignorant ways, but if he could make only one person a pure devotee, he said, then his work would be successful. Prabhupada would work intensively with his important India projects for a few months, but then would always return to the West to again tour and preach. Both were required, developing his projects in India and touring the West. When Yogi Bhajan and company in Berkeley had expressed their amazement at how Prabhupada was personally maintaining his disciples by traveling all over the world, Prabhupada had admitted that it was difficult and that he was trying to train his GBC secretaries to lead his movement. But so far it seemed that as long as he had the power to do so, he would continue to travel. But this is what Prabhupada wanted, his GBC secretaries to take over management of the temples, maintain the disciples, and give him time so he could write, he could give his purpose. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. He could just focus on his books, that's it, not get diverted. Laguna Beach, July 25th, 1975. Laguna Beach was about a 2-hour drive south of Los Angeles. The temple, a house near the beach, was crowded with guests and visiting devotees. After Prabhupada had taken his seat upon the newly upholstered Vyasasan, some of the temple leaders came forward at a time and bathed his feet. In the course of his lecture, Prabhupada spoke against taking intoxicating drugs. Is there anyone who can say, I am the controller? Is there anyone who will answer this? You may think that you are the controller, but you are controlled by drugs. The city of Laguna Beach was notorious as an illicit drug center. Prabhupada had come not to flatter anyone with sentimental spirituality, but to cut through their illusion. Bathing the feet of the spiritual master was good, but to be a genuine devotee, one had to strictly follow the regulations. One had to choose whether to be controlled by drugs or by Krishna. So those who take drugs, they get into a hallucination and they think of all sorts of things in their minds, as long as the drug effects are there. And after it is over, then okay, back into the reality. But this is not how one has to live his life. And the drugs, they have such a detrimental effect on the body. And the consciousness also. So what's the use? Also with like liquor. People drink so much, you'd be surprised. In Delhi, when I was there at the museum, that would be around, say, 2010, 15 years ago. So every year we had to go to entertainment tax office and get the exemption. Because we tell them this is a charity work, it's not a business. And they would. comply and give us the exemption. But every year the form had to be filled up, meeting the officers. Every year I had to do. So once I went there, the officer was busy, and then I was just uh, talking to other officers. And there was an excise department also over there. So I was just there. I just asked him. I didn't know anything. I said, "So what's the excise department, excise tax? What is this on?" He said, "Swamiji, this is on drugs, drugs mean medicines, and sale of liquor." So just innocently I asked him, "So how much liquor sale goes on in Delhi? I mean, how much tax do you collect?" He was kind of laughing. He said, "You don't know anything." I said, "I really have no idea. I don't drink and have nothing to do going to all these liquor shops. So how much excise tax is there on liquor you collect?" He said, let me remember it correctly. I think he said they collect 100 crore rupees as tax every month, not even every year, every month. I said, "So how much is a tax? I mean, what percentage?" I think that time he said about 8%. So I was shocked. I was like, "So about 1,200 crore rupees of liquor is sold every month in Delhi? If you take 8% as 100 crore?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Then there must be some other liquor also that is not reported. This is a reported one." He said, "Yeah." So 1,200 crore, and that too in 2020, 10, 15 years ago, means 40 crore rupees of liquor every day. It's a big amount. And this is the reported one. Non-reported, nobody knows. 40 crore. And no benefit at all to the person. And and of course over there I said, if we just get 1 day of amount of this liquor sale, if you just donate to our temple, we'll open. I mean, if it takes 10 crore, we will open 4 temples, and this will help people getting rid of this liquor, drinking liquor habit, intoxication. But this is and people, especially all this leftists and the media people, they complain when we offer some milk to Shivling. 40 crore rupees of liquor every day of no use. And nobody will go and complain to them, "Why you're drinking, give up drinking, give the money to the poor." Nobody will go and say. But for some milk when we offer on Shivling, that's a wastage. That's complete wastage. And liquor sale means people are drinking this much liquor every day, but then it leads to all sorts of nonsense, crimes, fightings, accidents, and then more issues in the hospitals or in the police stations. For what? This is a reality, and this was that 15 years ago. Now I'm sure it has gone up. Prabhupada stayed next door to the temple in a neighbor's house. His first visitor was Bishi Das, who had given up his initiation vows and fallen away from Krishna consciousness. Sporting long curly hair and a beard, he had casually dropped by to pay a little visit to his former spiritual master. Prabhupada received Rishi warmly, and they both exchanged smiles and laughed. Rishi's demeanor, however, was brazen, almost defiant, and he showed no contrition, means no remorse for what he has done. Prabhupada was not very happy to see the state of this boy to whom he had awarded the sannyas order a few years before. He was a sannyasi, but he just left everything. In earlier years, Prabhupada had cried when a dear disciple had left him. In those days, the fall of a disciple had been rare, almost unheard of. But over the years, Prabhupada had seen more casualties, even amongst his GBC leaders and sannyasis. In 1967, when one of his first disciples, Krishna Devi Dasi, had left her husband Subal and gone off with her boyfriend, Prabhupada had consoled Subal by reminding him how rare it was that one could become a devotee of Krishna. The wonderful thing is not that Krishna Dasi has left, Srila Prabhupada had said, but that we can stay in Krishna consciousness. This is most wonderful thing. Although devotees left Krishna consciousness for various reasons, Srila Prabhupada saw them all as having been tricked by Maya, by illusion. The result was almost always the same, whether the defector left on the plea of a new religion or new economic opportunities or whatever, usually he or she would take up a life of sense gratification, abandoning the strict path of self-realization. This was certainly true of Rishi. When Prabhupada asked him what he was doing with his life, he laughed and said he was playing saxophone. There was no need to ask him whether he was chanting 16 rounds or following the four rules. But Rishi wanted to assure Prabhupada that he was doing fine. I think I have more freedom now, said Rishi. Do you think you have freedom? Prabhupada challenged. Some, Rishi replied, by studying and working. What's your age? Prabhupada asked. 29. Are you free not to become older? Srila Prabhupada persisted. No. Then what's your freedom? Rishi gave a short laugh. I don't care. That's all right, Prabhupada replied. But I'm researching. I'm now 78. I don't wish to die, but I'm forced. But you too are forced to become old. No one wants to be old. Recalling some of the Krishna conscious philosophy, Rishi tried to argue against Prabhupada, saying that although he was forced to grow old, according to transmigration of the soul, he would be free after death. And anyway, there were other freedoms. Prabhupada stuck to his original point and said, death is inevitable, old age, no one wants. Everyone wants youth. Even an old man goes to the beach for health. I want youth, but I cannot have it. So where is the freedom? Prabhupada then spoke at length for Rishi's benefit as well as for the benefit of the other devotees in the room. Persons under the influence of Maya, he said, declare that they are free. The drug addict or the drunkard thinks he is free to lie down on the street. Yet his actions involve him in the strict laws of material nature. The outlaw declares himself free from the laws of the state, but he is put into jail. What's the use of saying he is free? Therefore, Krishna says, Prabhupada explained that whatever little freedom you've got, just surrender that freedom to me. So, yeah, this is also one of the trends among the youngsters. Oh, we want to be free, we want to be independent, we don't want to be bothered by all these rules. We are not free. Only freedom, philosophy by scriptures, only freedom is we can desire a little, that's all. Whether we get it or not up to us. And while getting it, first of all, desire is there, and then to whatever extent it's going to be fulfilled, decided by Paramatma. He engages the three modes of nature, we take over us, and then we do that activity to whatever extent we are allowed to. And then what? We get the reaction. So where is the freedom? Real freedom is in surrendering to Krishna. Well, does that mean devotees are above the material modes of nature? To the extent they are surrendered, yes, they are above. And the freedom means not just doing whatever we want. Freedom means doing whatever the scriptures want, whatever Krishna wants us to do. We have to do, we have to act, we have to speak, we have to think, we have to eat, but we do it according to what Krishna wants. And that gives so much of pleasure, so much of it. But this is uh, people want freedom for what? For the pleasure, nothing else. They think I'll be happy by doing this, that. But the real happiness comes in when we do what Krishna wants. And when what Krishna wants is revealed to us by Prabhupada through his books. This is what he wants. Just do it. But people and their so-called desire and concept of freedom, it's just crazy. Prabhupada's comments on the false freedom were to the point. Within 2 hours of his arrival, he had already exposed the Laguna Beach mystique. Rishi continued to smile and argue, but before Prabhupada, he was just another youth with no real answers. Prabhupada was not interested in debating. He wanted to help his disciple Rishi, however, was using whatever freedom he had to defy Krishna's representative, trusting instead in his youth, his intoxication, and his music. The door opened. There are some professors, Srila Prabhupada announced a devotee, who form part of our congregation. Prabhupada greeted the new guests and asked that they sit up front on cushions. I was talking with this boy about freedom, said Prabhupada. So I said, there is no freedom for us. We're always dependent. What is your opinion about it? One of the professors said he agreed, and Prabhupada continued speaking. He talked with the professors for more than an hour. See, he could talk, discuss philosophy with even the professors. So really, actually, in the material world, where is the freedom? We are bound up. Three modes of nature are there. Then the laws of karma are there. And even if I desire anything, doesn't mean I'm going to get it. And whatever I get, still the law of the country is there. I have to act within those laws. And as Prabhupada was explaining, can you stop getting old? No, nobody can do that. So there is a freedom. Can I stop from dying? No. Scientists can claim anything. Oh, in few years we'll develop a method where nobody has to die. No. Whoever has taken birth is sure to die. That is going to happen. So there is no freedom. Near the end, Upendra's 3-year-old son, Soumya, walked up to Prabhupada from the back of the room. Prabhupada gave him some money that was on his desk, and the boy ran back to his mother and gave her the money. Yes, when I was young, Prabhupada reminisced. If I got the money, I would take it to my mother. But then when I would become angry at her, I would demand it back. Sometimes I would steal money from my mother's purse and go watch Charlie Chaplin movies. His favorite scene was in the film called Hard Times. He said when Charlie Chaplin sat down at a table with a knife and fork to eat a boot. Yes, that's a famous, because he was so hungry, he didn't have money, and he just wanted to eat a boot. But anyway, so we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, you all have safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.